Hi, I'm Brian English, Wappler forum name Hyperbytes. In this module, we're going to start looking at managing the permissions of users within the site by reference to the roles to which they are allocated. So I'll just remind you at the moment we have a users table which has the users and they have associated roles, and each user may have more than one role or not. If you've just watched my previous module regarding joins, subtables and multi-references, you may now be asking yourself, why didn't I use a subtable? And the answer is quite simple, because remember the problem with using the join is they create multiple records. That's actually in this circumstances what we want to do. We want to be able to create those multiple records. Therefore, in this case, the join as opposed to the subtable relationship is the correct relationship. So what we need to do is to look at creating our actions in relation to our user roles. What I want to do is I'm going to create the table based on the users, and we're going to create add those add role, delete role, etc. actions with it. We're still going to need our basic features for our user IDs as well. So in actual fact, I'm going to do my last demonstration of a CRUD 5. After this, I will expect you to do that. In this case, we're using the user table. So I'm going to call that table user as we said we would. And within that, we're going to create our 5 standard server actions. So we're going to have search. We're going to have create. We're going to have read. We're going to have update, and we're going to lastly have delete. So let's start with our search. We're going to have a straightforward database query. We're going to use the query builder to add the user table. We're going to add first name, last name. We'll go for email. I really don't want to expose too much of this. Okay, we'll do all but the password at this stage. And our condition would be based on that filter parameter, which we haven't yet created. So that's our columns. Remember I said we're going to add a get variable called filter to each one, which we will customize as required at a later stage. And that is our query, search query done. Our create is going to be a database update action. So we're going to be database update. Invariably updates are done via a post parameter. So we're happy to leave that as a post at the moment. And our condition will be the user ID is equal to the posted user ID, and Wappler, say, very conveniently creates those post variables for us. Read, and this is where I actually made a mistake in the previous one, which has been corrected because the parameter was wrong. So in this case we're doing a single query, and we're going to be getting our user data but our input is a get parameter, not a post as I did accidentally on the last time through, which should be corrected now. And it's important that that's a get parameter. So our condition there is simply that the user ID is equal to our get parameter user ID. And save that. Update. Sorry, I got that create one. I'm having a bad day today. It's been a long day. That should in fact be a insert action, not an update action. My apologies on that. That'll catch out all those who only watch halfway through the video and don't get to the end. User, we actually need an insert, and there's parameters to be sent to that. However, there is no conditions because it's an insert. It creates a new record, and we'll save that. Our update, we're going to be adding our action, which will be our database update. So we're going again, user, we're going to update all of the fields potentially. So I'm going to take that password out because I never normally update a password via an action like this. We're probably not going to have to update either of these either, so let's take these out. We're going to take out the validate, we're going to take out the auth code, and we're going to get rid of the date sign up. Now condition is user ID is equal to the post user ID, which is correct because again this data will be coming from a form. Let's save that. Then lastly, we're going to look at the delete action, and we're going to use a database delete. Surprise, surprise. But as I explained, I actually quite often will use a get parameter there. So delete user. I'm just going to OK that for the minute. I'm going to create a variable there, and I'm going to make user ID. And so the reason is that in the past we've always tended to use a simple modal with a form in to be able to send the parameters for the deletion because we needed some form of confirmation beforehand. But I tended now to use the bootstrap dialogues, so we can do that via a get. So I create both of these inputs, but in reality I will be using the get one, except for I will at some point just show you the alternative, just so you're aware that there are two ways of doing it, and it is a matter of choice how we wish to do it. There's no technical reason why I should do it either way. It's down to personal preference. So there we are. We've created our 5 actions. Of course, we must remember to secure those actions with our security provider security restrict. So our permission is going to be, it must be an administrator, otherwise we're going to kick them out to the login screen. Like that. I'm going to save that, and now I'm not going to do that 5 times. By the magic of technology, the rest are going to have a security restrict added in the next few seconds. So there we are now. We see that our search, our create, our read, our update, and our delete all have that same security restrict, insisting that you must be an administrator to perform that particular action, otherwise you're just going to get bounced to the login screen. So that's our creation of our actions, and what we need to do now is look at being able to pull the various roles that the person has in relation to their account, and from there on we will be able to list those, and then we will be able to manage them directly. So to do that, we actually need to do exactly the same now. We need to create a role management actions. So I'm going to go into add a folder. I'm going to call that exactly the same as a table. So it's role singular. And now again, by the grace of magic, we're going to have those 5 server actions created, ready for use. So there we are, through the miracles of technology. Now we have our role folder, we have our delete action, we have our update action, our read action, our create action, and your search action. Now some of you might be asking yourselves at the moment, do we really need to create every action every time? And the truth is probably not. But if you think of the logistics of preparing this course, unless you want to sit and watch me create every one of these API actions individually to make them specific to what we need, this is the easiest way around it. What we will do at some point is be coming back and perhaps amending some of these to tweak them a little bit. But in the short term, if we stick with this particular procedure of just creating them all, then I don't need to talk you through the process. You know what's required, you know what you need to do, and you can create them all appropriately. So we've created our actions now. I'm going to have to now create a page within the admin area, and we're going to call that manage users. So it's a content page in the admin area, so in our secure area. And there we have our manage users. I am going to, at this point, add a container. I'm going to add a row. I'm going to add a column. I'm just going to put a little bit of margin up top there. And now in this column, I'm going to go to the generator. No, I'm not. I actually need to create, so I need to create a server action first. So that's connection is to users. We go into our admin, we go into our users, and we go into our search. I'm going to save that. I'm now going to go back into here, and what I'm going to do is, surprise, surprise, yet again, I'm going to go this route for a change. Go into generators, and I'm going to create a table. And that table is going to be populated from our users action. I like to give it the full house. It's type bordered, hover, small, the lot. Oops. Now it's the first time I've ever seen that happen. That was actually the developers console opening inside Wappler. There's all sorts of things hidden in the background in here that we probably don't know is there, that would be immensely useful if we could work out how to access them. So there's our fields that we need in our table. I'm just going to drag that one up the top there. So we've got first name, last name, email, date of sign up. We don't need to see the authorization code. We do need to see if they've been validated. Let's generate that. And there we are. You see, we actually only have one user in here now, so there's that user that we have created. Validated date doesn't look too good. Let's just tidy that up. Let's go down. You see, it's been created as inner text. We can literally just go into validated. We can hit the magic wand. We can right click, we can go into date time and then format that date, and then choose the formatting, and all of the details on the formatting are there. They're also there in a post somewhere, but the easy one is day / month / year. Obviously the case is important, and then we're going to do HH:MM. And it's really handy because if you look at the format, sorry Mr. Colon out there, it's lowercase, uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, lowercase. So it's a really easy formatting to remember. If we look at the code now, what we have is that, and now you can see that it now shows the date and the time after it in a sensible form. We do exactly the same with the date sign up. Let's go to our wand. So you can type these in manually if you want. That does sometimes lead to errors. We've seen a lot of reported errors on the forum which have actually been down to people mistyping. Certainly I would suggest before you ever report a bug relating to something like this that you actually make sure you do it with the picker rather than typing in manually, to make sure that you haven't accidentally mistyped something. So there we have now got our bootstrap table. I think I'll just make that container full width just so we can see more detail on the screen. We now just have to add another row inside that, and we're going to add a column inside that, and then I'm going to add the form input. So we can go to forms, made it a bit prettier than we did earlier. Let's make it a horizontal form. That just gives us a little bit of a preamble. And remember, these search terms are just single keyword search. They are not full text searching. We will be looking at multiple parameter searches later on in the course, but we're a little bit earlier for that at the moment. So actually what we're asking for is a keyword and nothing more. Having done that, now we can go back into our server action and we can bind that filter to our text input value. So whenever that value changes, the server connection will be refreshed and the new data will be pulled down from it. All we need to do now is to pop back into our action, into our search action, query builder, and ask ourselves, what are we actually going to search on? Sorry, wrong one there. I want to be in the users table. My apologies. What are we going to search? And what I want to do is I want to search the name, first name, last name, and email simultaneously. And that's really easy to do. So we're just going to say if the first name contains the filter, and then we got another condition, is the last name contains the filter, and then lastly if the email address contains that filter value. And we need to make sure that is an OR, so we can just click on that bar and it'll change. So what we're saying is get all of the records where either the first name or the last name or the email contains that filter condition. Let's save that. I think perhaps it's a good time to just pop that up and have a look and see what we've got when I can actually find the right screen. Let's pop that open. It's done it again. Let's just restart that server. I really don't know whether this is my machine or whether it's Wappler. I have mentioned it to George. There we are. It's worked perfectly this time. And we should now be able to, if we put something that doesn't appear, it disappears. If we put co in, it will match because that's got co there. If you put ng, then that appears in English. But as soon as we add something that doesn't match, then that detail will disappear. So that's going to be our first part of this user management. I'm going to just take a break here, and what we're going to do in the next module is we're going to look at how to manage that user's permissions directly from this table that we have on screen now. So I hope you're going to join me then.